Hello, hello, hello. We're live. Welcome to my evening with Crafting Together with Allbrands. I am live in Crafting Together with Allbrands on my YouTube and in my groups. So I'm live all over the place tonight, but thank you for the invitation for having me over on Crafting Together with Allbrands. And I thought I wouldn't waste a full face of makeup today because normally I don't start with my face for these lives, but I've been shooting my own videos. I thought while I have my hair all pretty and my makeup on, I would join with camera. Hi, Jan. Hi, Christiana. I see Christiana is in YouTube. We've got Jan in, we've got Maz in, we've got Nikki, we've got Sue. Hello, hello. So I see you are in. You can send emojis. Yes, it's quite fun. Oh, thank you. I feel like me when my hair is pink like this. So I've been doing this. Hi, Sue, who's saying hi to Christiana. Yes, it's the hello crew. Hello, Facebook user. I'm assuming that might be you, Jane. I'm not sure. Or it could be Annelise. If it is Annelise, happy birthday for tomorrow. I see Facebook's telling me it's your birthday tomorrow. Hey, Penny. Yes, so for those of you who don't know, I have pink hair because I lost my best friend Claire to breast cancer nearly 10 years ago. December this year will be 10 years ago. I did it to honor her for the first year, to remember her, because I'm not a tattoo kind of person. That's just a little too permanent and painful. I'm a wuss. So I opted to do pink hair because pink is for breast cancer. And this particular pink, this ridiculous bright pink, which I now have my nails as well, just was Claire's favorite color. So to honor her, I decided to do it for a year. And it became so much a part of me that after a year, I decided to keep doing it. And also, it keeps the awareness of breast cancer going. So it often comes up in conversation where I've discussed it with people. They've gone for their mammograms, they've found something scary, they've had it removed, and they're still here to tell the tale. So yes, it has its upsides, and it reminds me of my best friend every single day. But yes, when it grows out, I then do the parting on the other side. Sorry, the camera is reversed. So I do the parting on this side and then I flip it over. So it's not my whole head of pink hair, because people meet me in real life and they go, oh, I thought your whole head is pink. No, it's just how I take the photograph from my avatar. It looks all pink. Yes, it's Friday. Yes, it just doesn't feel right when your hair is normal color, when you're used to these crazy colors. I can't wait. I only have it done every 3 months because it takes far too long, but my hairdresser's got it down to start to finish 3 hours because it's got to be bleached, it's got to be cut, and my hair isn't the easiest to cut. So yeah. Oh, it's Ella. Hello, Ella. Yes, you have to give StreamYard permission to use your name, but everybody else can see your name. It's just me who can't see who it is. So what I'm going to do is change my camera around. I haven't done it with this system before, so I hope I don't lose you guys. If I do, I will pop back in. So thank you to everybody who's popped in. I'm going to be doing a teeny tiny little canvas. See, it's just 6 inches, which is hard to tell on screen sometimes. So, hi, Patricia. Can you see my name? No, sorry, that's what it looks like on my side. Really don't stress about it. It's just I can see your comments and I can see your questions, and that's what's the most important, because I can I love it. Facebook reminder, be ready to start a live video at 2000. Well, that was 5 minutes ago, Facebook. Gotta love this place. So let me turn the camera around. Hopefully I won't make you guys seasick, and let's get going with our project. So let's see if we can do this. The camera people, you can still hear me on Facebook. I know. Okay, I'm not touching my camera. I'm never doing this again. Lesson learned. Hello, Sandra. Nice to see you here. Yes, I'm back. Thank you. What a palaver. Okay, right. So much for that. What am I doing tonight? I'm doing this little teeny tiny camera that I now have, canvas that I now have to move right up to the top of my desk because I did not touch my camera. Okay, so all I have done is I've just painted it black. I am reusing a canvas that I had started something, didn't like it, and I painted it black. So it is just the Stamperia Allegro, which is a nice matte black. I have a second webcam and it was giving me feedback, Nikki. So I decided to turn this camera, which is above me, around. I need to get some sort of, my husband bought it for me, some sort of OS something, I don't know, alphabet soup tool to be able to switch cameras. So I need to research that. But generally, I'm not wearing makeup and have my hair done, so it's not normally a problem. It's not normally an option. So, okay, what I'm going to do, so I'm resuscitating this canvas. I have a whole lot of stuff to the side of me, and I learned this trick of the old muffin pan from Tim Holtz. So I've got that. I have a bunch of resin pieces going over here. I have a whole lot more. I don't know about you guys, but I've rescued these off some projects that I was, I didn't want to keep. So I've grabbed these off that. This is another rescue. So I've got those. I've got these that I've prepped for things and never used. And I also like to use black spray paint as a base. It saves a lot of time. So I have a whole lot. Some of them are not sprayed particularly well on the sides, but I have a whole lot of items here ready to go that I will pick and choose from. This is one of many trays of stuff. Here is another one that I have on the floor. Yes, bat wings. So here is another batch of stuff. Sometimes I put the really little things in little baggies like this so that they don't get lost. I try, in theory, and put things in themes like this. Bowl is all the locks and things like that. Here is a random gear from Finn that's landed up in here. Here's a whole lot of painted items again. So I have lots to pick and choose from for tonight's project. I'm going to start with some stencil work, and for that I'm going to grab a stencil. And I'm going to go with bricks. And I'm going to go... So this stencil I designed for Stamperia. It still has the code on the top, KSTDL51. And I designed it so that you could repeat it. So I'm going to start off the canvas like that, because then I'll be able to blow dry what I've done and repeat the stencil and it will fit. I'm going to use a little bit of tape. I think I've done the StreamYard thing. Yes, you have, Crafty Jacks, because I can see your name. See, it comes up like that. Well done. That's awesome. Thank you. Oh, somebody's offering tea, coffee, or is that tea, coffee, and cookies? I have some ice water. I have my ice water bottle because it is hot, hot, hot here. Summer has arrived in Berlin with vengeance. We have, however, had hectic rain today for Berlin. We normally get showers, little bits of rain, but we haven't had much and we really need it. So I'm quite pleased. So while we're talking about the water, let me just have some. Okay, let's get started. I'm just going to use paper on my desk as my paint palette for this. I'm going to go with some brown, some brick color, little bit of orange, just a lot. Hi Ella, I can see your name. Yes, I can see you. I can see you. Sandra's just, there we go. I can see you. Sandra's saying hello. Hot and stuffy here in Costadil. Gateshead, yes. I actually don't mind the winters, to be honest. I don't mind rather wearing a few more layers of clothing than not being able to take enough off, if you know what I mean, because I'm not pretty in the heat. I don't cope with the heat particularly well. I know the girls in the UK have been struggling as well. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm just tapping some paint. I'm just using a normal paintbrush that's been somewhat abused. I'm tapping some paint through the stencil. And in this heat, to be honest, I probably won't even have to blow dry it much. And I'm just kind of blending the two together. Because of the heat, I don't want to go too far down the stencil before I start blending. Hello, Linda from South Africa, Linda Sutherland. Nice to see you here. Obviously don't have load shedding where you are, either that or you've managed to get yourself off the grid. It's 95 degrees in Texas. Yes. Oh, Texas is hot. Been there, done that. I know that heat, but at least you guys all have air conditioning. We don't have air conditioning here. They don't I don't know, I think due to global warming, they didn't really believe in aircon. We bought a small one that vents out of our windows so that I can at least sleep at night. We don't run it all night, but just at least so you can get to sleep. You're in Scotland and it's dull today. Yes, I would be very happy if we had spring and autumn the whole year around. I quite agree, Maz. That actually would suit me just down to the ground. I know the locals have been looking forward to summer and apologizing to me that it took so long to arrive. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I'm actually quite happy with the autumn and spring weather. Okay, let's just make sure that I've got it in everywhere. The nice thing about putting tape on, it just means that you can flip it over and double check yourself and see how you're doing. Got a bit of a line there, so let's just kill that line a little bit. Let's see how that's doing. Yep, I'm happy with that. I am going to miraculously have to blow dry a little bit. So we'll grab the heat gun, which I have a sneaking suspicion is not actually plugged in back there. No, it's not. But its space is vacant, so we can just plug it back in. I'm going to have to unplug it just now when I need my glue gun. But one thing at a time, and let's not touch the camera. Not touch the camera, people. Don't touch the camera. Yes, so right now it's quite shiny. And what I like about Stamparia's paint is that it will dry matte. So thank you. Yes, it is a great effect when you can actually blend the two. Thank you, thank you. 23 degrees Celsius. Yes, so right now mine's actually telling me that it's 16 degrees Celsius outside, which is not, it doesn't feel cold, but the humidity, because we've had these thunderstorms, the humidity is, I think, what is killing me. Right, so with the stencil, because I started with it at the top like that and off the edge so that you didn't get this jagged edge, I designed it so that you could repeat the stencil like so. And I just have to check that I'm not going skew with. That looks straight-ish. Now we have to just move the masking tape. This is just Loc-Tac tape. Here we can find it at the hardware stores and the art stores. Yes, we had huge thunderstorms last night. Not late, you haven't missed much except for me messing around with my camera, which wasn't too successful. I thought I would be clever because I've got pretty hair and makeup on today. I thought I'd be clever and turn my camera on, because although I have two cameras, I can't have both in StreamYard. It shouts back at me one against the other. So I decided I would turn this one around, and then when I turned it back again, I lost connectivity. Well, first it was upside down, and when I tried to fix it, I then accidentally touched the screen, which meant that I disappeared. But because I'm in StreamYard, you don't have to. You guys can just say, if I do disappear for whatever reason, I will be back because, I sound like Arnie, I'll be back. Because with StreamYard, it means that you can come back in again to the same stream. So it's frustrating and helpful all at the same time. You know, one of those. Hi, Jan. Nice to have you here. Jan saying she doesn't mind the heat as long as she's laying out in it, preferably with a pool. Yet she's dreaming of holidays long ago. I know. We're in a block of flats here with a small fountain in the courtyard. And it's about, I would say it's probably about 1.5 meters to 2 meters across. And it's probably about, I don't know, 60 or 70 centimeters deep. I've never really measured it. I did paint it because I had to paint it with waterproof paint before we refilled it recently. And it's really tempting me to go and sit on the edge with my legs dangling in it with something nice and cool to drink. So there we go. I have repeated my stencil, and it completely repeats. So you can build this wall ad infinitum. So yes, I'm very tempted to go and get into the fountain because it's nice and cool. And by the time I'm finished the live, the fountain will be switched off and I won't get splashed. I can just sit with my legs in it. Sit on the edge of it. I don't think the people in the building would be too impressed, but hey ho. Okay, so now we have our brick wall, and I'm going to just hold it up so you can see up close. Because I tapped the paint into place, you get a really nice texture. And because I used the 3 colors, it's just a little bit more interesting. So thanks, Caroline. It's from Stamperia. I'm not sure. Some shops will probably still have stock, but I don't think Stamperia has stock anymore. Right, now comes the fun part. Now I've created my background. I need to build something on top. So this is when I need to plug in, so unplug my heat gun and plug in my glue gun, because if I was doing this just for myself, I would probably work, I say probably because I'm not always that patient, but I would just work with the gel medium, not with the glue gun. So the reason I'm working with both is because if I just use glossy gel, and you can use any brand, you can use Fins. This is not Fins gel, this is her patina. But if you use Fins gel or Tim's gel or anybody else's gel, Golden, whatever brand you've got, it takes a long time to dry. gel is always the best thing for anything that is heavy. So when I'm wanting to work quite quickly and you're wanting to paint and things on top, I find that if you've just used the gel, it wants to slip and slide and it's just annoying. So I will use the glue gun to hold it in place. I'm going to put both gel and glue gun on the object that I'm going to put on this canvas. If you just use glue gun, over time, if you had to knock the canvas or you were sending it to somebody, what I find is the glue gun glue gets very brittle and it lets go. So what I'm doing is the combo. So the glue gun is for holding now and the glossy gel is for holding long term. So let's pick and choose. I need to build something on here. And as I showed you earlier, I have a whole lot of bits and pieces next to me. And I need a focal point. So I'm going to just scritch and scratch through my collection here and see what I've got. This corset is quite pretty. Put that there. We've got Lady Vagabond. Got a piece of, now I need to decide also what color scheme. I mean, I've got that gorgeous. I've already pretty much done that with color. So I'm going to just cheat and pull out all the ones that are sprayed already. They don't have to be perfect. Oh, we've got the supervisor. He could go on somewhere maybe. Let's pull out some of these hinges. We'll have some of those. Here's a black version of the supervisor. Let's pop him over there. We have these hinges. If you pull them thin enough, you can actually get them with holes. Or if you pull them thick, then of course the holes don't show. So that's just FYI if you've got that mold. Okay, that's enough of those. Maybe we'll have a few of these things. So now I've got, sometimes you can actually put pigment powder in your resin, because I work with resin, and then your pieces will be colored and then you don't have to paint them. Let's just see what I've got in the way of useful items to build, I don't know, some sort of, right, that'll do of those for now. Let's see what's in here. I'm just shopping my stash. It's really what I'm doing. I'm shopping my stash. Okay, so we have that. And let's see what I have down here. Navigate. That might be quite nice. Oh, here's some more pipe things. Oops, I dumped that in the paint. That doesn't really matter because I'm going to, let's have a few more pipe pieces. Maybe some corners. They're rather nice shapes in projects. Okay. And we have Sir Zeppelin. Right, now I have a conglomerate of stuff. See, that's not the half of it. That's 2 little trays. I have, if any of you have IKEA boxes, you know, the IKEA Kallax unit that has those boxes, those storage boxes. I have an entire box full of resin molds. Yes. Hi, Jen. Yes, it's a wet but not so cold Berlin. So yes, these are overpours, or sometimes I pour them, and then you can see. So I have used a matte spray paint on them, and the reason why I've pulled out all these long ones is because I thought it would be quite fun if I built a structure in the background. So when I'm building a project like this, I generally promise there's only water in this. So it's not anything else in my water, I promise. Carolyn, you try to color your resin, but you have problems to find the right combination. If you use too much pigment, it will dry many days. Do you have any advice? So the pigment that I use is actually a powder. I don't use a liquid. I use Stamperia's pigment powder. It's the shiny powder. I don't have any in front of me right now, but it is, and I don't put a lot in. It's just I would say, well, it depends on, of course, how much you're mixing, but I really don't put a lot in. And as to which resin I prefer, I particularly like the fast setting resin. So I use the 2-minute resin. Remember when, yes, it's mica powder. Thank you, Jan. It's mica powder. But it seems to have a kind of pigment in it as well. It's not just the mica. So I use a local brand to Germany called Troll Factory, and I use the 2-minute one because the smaller the object, like these, for example, the longer they take to set because it is a chemical reaction. So the more product you have together, so for example, in Antonisa's airship here, this particular area sets very quickly, and this bit, because it is so thick and it gets really, really hot. And for that reason, you have to be careful when you're pouring these molds in the plastic ones. I do them in shallow layers because if you pour it full straight away with, this is probably about 200 grams of resin or 150, it will get so hot and it will melt your mold. So I tend to do this one in stages. So yeah, that's the resin that I personally prefer. So yeah, it does. It just, if you color it, it makes it one step easier than having to paint everything, which is why I like to use the black spray paint. So when I am designing something, as I said, I like to have some sort of structure, and I like a vertical and a horizontal. So that's why I am looking for things that have a strong vertical and horizontal feel to them, like the pipes, these that would work well in, they fit well in the 90-degree corners there. So you can pour resin in stages as long as you pour it fairly quickly, one after the other. If you leave it for too long, I have found that it actually doesn't want to stick to itself, because sometimes, you've got a little bit of resin left over in your pot, and you just tip it into whatever mold is closest to you, and then you put it away for next time. I have found that if I try and add to that one next time, it doesn't always stick. So that's just my personal experience of what I found that happens. So something like this, I also use as a vertical and a horizontal, but now I'm starting to bring in the elements that have, so you could even put it at an angle like that, just to help direct the eye into your project. And then we can start building other objects. So building the layers. Sometimes you won't even see what's underneath because, well, you've built so many layers. I quite like this as a focal point because it's not round, it's not long, it's not square. How's it, Anya? Welcome. Nice to have you here. So I quite like this as a focal point, but let's just see where we're going to go with this. So maybe I don't want to cover all my background, otherwise there's kind of no point to having done it. And it is a small canvas. So maybe we will have Mr. Zeppelin. I actually drew it from a picture of Mr. Zeppelin. That's where he comes from. So maybe we'll have him as a focal point, in which case we can't see that at all. So we won't waste that under there. We will use the second one of those. And then I need to build up underneath there so that he sticks out. So I like to repeat shapes. I like to repeat things in threes preferably, or odd numbers. That just makes things work nicely. Now he's sitting a little too central, so you either need to design your project so that your focal point is bang on central, if that's what you're looking for. Or put it on what's called the 2/3 rule. Okay, so Carolyn's asking, she's made the airship in the mold and it's not even. Now it's dry. Can I put it in again and use fresh resin over it? You could certainly try. There's absolutely no reason why you can't try and do that. If it does come apart, there's also no reason why you can't glue those two pieces together. I have done that too. So there's often a workaround for these kind of things. Okay, I want this one that has nicer holes. That one was a bit filled in and I'm just being lazy. I don't feel like working it again. So what do I mean about the 2/3 rule? Generally in art, when you are working with something, you either have 2/3. Let's talk about a photograph or a painting of a landscape. So a 2/3 sky, 1/3 land. You could have, so that's working horizontally, or if you're working vertically like this, you can have your object in your main kind of construct in that corner there, which is in the 2/3, and then you've got 1/3, which is fairly open. So now I can build a few more horizontals underneath here. So we can have some pipes coming out this way and that way. And so I have a pipe work going around there. Maybe if I push that in a little bit, I can have this one going up there. Or maybe it can come down. You don't have to touch. Or maybe it can just be sticking out from each side. That also works. And then we can continue this one along here. Right. Okay. So now I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. I'm going to start gluing and constructing before I go too much further, before I forget. Because normally what I would do at this stage is take a photograph. I would build everything how I like it. I take a photograph, deconstruct, and then glue it all together. But of course, I'm using my phone to record this. Nice new pot of glossy gel. Yum, yum, yum. So yes, Sue is saying she shaves the back with an X-Acto knife. You can do that if it's just a little bit. So I would shave the back of this where the excess is with a blade. Or to make something even, I use sandpaper, but please wear a mask. You don't want to be breathing in the resin dust. So, okay. This is something that I've always asked if they would please put a little tab on it where you can grab it to peel it off. Or maybe I will just open it like so. Okay, that also works. There are many ways to get in the pot. Okay, so I'm going to grab a little bit of the gel medium, and this is what will hold over a long period. And to hold it now, I'm going to put a nice blob. That's the world in theory, because it's now all melted out probably. I'm going to put a nice big blob of hot glue. And I'm going to pop it down over there like that. So let's just make sure that is straight. Yes, it is. We'll do the same here. For those of you who've just joined, the reason I'm doing this is because the gel medium will hold forever and the glue gun will hold for now. So I'm wanting this to stay in place right now while I'm doing this live. If I was doing this patiently or sometimes impatiently for myself, then I would quite often just use the gel and not worry about the hot glue. But because we want to get this done tonight, preferably within the next 20 minutes, although with my shenanigans at the beginning with my camera, I lost a bit of time. So I said it'll be an hour-ish. So let's glue these in place. And resin is often kind of hollow in the middle, so you need a decent blob so that it sticks out enough so that when you plop it down on the canvas, there's enough glue for it to actually stick. So I'm going to, and I mean, you're not really even going to see this, but I am aware that there are details. So I want, a vertical and horizontal there. I'm going to make this one do the same. Stand, point stand, of course, on it. Oh, whatever. There we go. And this one I'm going to have like so. Let's turn it like that because we're going to have him here somewhere. Right, and we need that over there. Perhaps let's use the one that's actually not scratched itself off. And let's have a look. See, one of these pots on the floor had some of these little guys already painted black. So what I'm looking for is something that's approximately the same height as that, just so that when I put keep taking that one. I don't want that one. When I put this here, it's suspended, and so we need to glue this one. And pop that over there. Then we will have this. Now I'm going to make sure that I have enough glue on that. And over here. And now I'm putting the glue not on the object because I actually don't know where it's going to go on here. So that's why I am rather opting to put the glue on the base. And blow me down if I didn't grab that one. It's meant to be the one in the project apparently today. So we have that. Now these I haven't glued. No. So they need little bits of glue. Little bit of glue. And a little bit of hot glue. Okay, so it doesn't matter if your gel pops out like that, you can just grab it off with an old brush. The trick is to try and wash it off because this gel is glossy and my paint is matte. I will be working on here with some colors, so hopefully I will hide that. But I'm always very aware to try and not get glue ooze if I can avoid it. Right, trying not to burn myself with the hot glue. Pop that one there. These two get a little bit of that and a little bit of that. No. We have glue ooze. Right. Once the construction's done, I will add color to these pieces. I'm going to hide that badly sprayed bit on the inside because nobody will see that. I just want it to look like those two join up. And we will catch the glue ooze. Right, and I had that one down here because I was going to put this one here like this. But let's just see where Mr. Zeppelin's going to go. So I think I'll have him up here. And there definitely needs to be something under there. So we'll have a scratch in here again and see what I can use to build up. Probably won't see that at all because it's going to be right underneath. So yes, that works. That stops him wobbling. You could use old chipboard, but or whatever you've got for these bits underneath. But that will work perfectly. And I still need to glue this piece down. So again, we're going to go with a little bit of gel there, and on there. And let's just see some hot glue here. Right. Okie dokie. Maybe now we're going to put Mr. Zeppelin on there. But before I do that, because I don't want to have to fiddle and faff underneath him when it comes to the painting, I am going to start doing the painting now. And I'm going to pop a little bit of the hot glue on here to hold this in place because it is not behaving. Okay. Hello. Susie, Sylvia, not sure who's saying hello to who, or if you're just giving me your name. Or if that's not the case at all, that's so funny because that's all I can see on my side. But don't worry, I can see if you have any questions or comments. So what I'm going to do at this point is hopefully, yes, that's all now being held by the hot glue. I'm going to give this a bit of a rusty makeover to make it look like it's part of this background. So I'm going to just dry my paintbrush, giving the name. Thank you. Does the white gel dry clear? Yes, it does. So this particular gel medium I'm using is by Stamperia. The Finnabair one does the same. It looks white when you initially squeeze it out, but it will dry clear. But it dries shiny. So I'm using these paints by Stamperia on matte. And so if you have the shiny gel, you can really see where the gel is or was. So that's why I like to try and get as much of it off as possible. And I'm really just using a damp brush. I'm going to put some paint on here because if you see it from an angle, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb, because anything that is white will jump forward and is really obvious to one's eye, where something dark does tend to recede. So that's why I like to have everything painted black, because then it saves me at this stage trying to gesso everything. And at this stage, I'm not really being too particular about the colors that I'm using. I'm just using the same colors that I use to stencil the bricks. And then I will do my usual trick of working from light to dark, from right to left. So I have this little personal thing that I do where I just like to have the highlights on the right-hand side of my project with the shadows on my left-hand side. It just means I don't have to think. So that's why now I'm going into the orange, and I'm going to just pick up orange on the right-hand side of everything, because that will then give the idea that this has got some sunlight coming from a specific angle. I know most of this one is going to be underneath Mr. Zeppelin, so I'm not going to go too overboard, she says, making everything boldly orange. Okay, so right, so now I have a very definite highlight side, and now I can just give this, no, I can't give this a quick blow dry. It's so hot here that even though it's only 16 degrees and cloudy, everything is pretty much dry. I mean, look at that. I've just painted it and it's dry. So I'm going to pop Mr. Zeppelin on, and I wanted him in the top 2/3. So I'm going to put a whole bunch of glue there, and there. And then to hold him in place, I will give, and this is where I need now my refill. Oh, stuck it in the, I'm going to give generous blobs of the hot glue that will hold him in place now. Okay, so let's just hold that in place, just checking if I'm straight, and hold that in place while the hot glue sets. And yep. Okay, so hot glue has held that in place nicely for me. I need a little bit more brown paint. Here we go. And give everything a coat of the brown. And the nice thing is, because it's been spray painted, I don't have to be terribly exact and perfect, although I can see, I'm just making sure that I'm covering any white bits, because yes, as I mentioned earlier, those will Oh, thank you, Crafty Jacks. I'm just making sure that I'm covering any white bits because your eye will just gravitate towards any pale areas. So let's give him once over on his face too. And right. Okie dokie. Now I'm going to come in with the brick color a little bit as well. Oops, no. So I'm leaving it quite dark on that side and building the pale colors on this side. So I'm going to come in with the orange. So it's the same as what I did in the background. And you can see that as it's dried, it's not quite so obvious. Hello, hello. Not sure who's just joined, but hello, welcome. So let's just build that up on the highlight side. So a little bit more orange. And as I said, when it's wet, it looks really bright, but it does tone down quite a bit. I'm going to bring a little bit across because it could have caught a little bit over there. Right. So let's just catch these sides. Let's see what it's looking like from above. Grab a little bit more brown for that side there. I can see a little gap in there. On his shoulder. Right, I'm going to stop playing and let that dry. Pop that in the water. These pieces I'm not going to use. And at this stage, let's see, this is when having all the little details is quite good. So we'll have some little screw heads. This is sort of like the finishing touches that you can add add to the project. Let's get as many of them out as I can find. Yes, it looks rusty and it's pure plastic. I always think that's so hilarious. Okay. Going to totally cheat to save time because it's 4 minutes to. I know it doesn't have to be on the hour exactly, but let's just build a few more points of interest and put a couple of added textures and things. Like we can put a bolt on that one, and we can put a little screw head. Okay. I don't want to put a big blob of glue, but we need some glue. Okay, let's just push this through a little bit more. Okay. Ow, now it's stuck to me. No. Okay. Right. Let's put that at the bottom there, like so. And let's have one at the top. And I'm going to put the screw head at an angle so that it looks a little bit more kind of realistic. Let's see, shall we put... I actually quite like this guy just on there on its own. So we'll put that there. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So odd number of little screw head jobbies. And just dry my brush, add some more rust to that, and then we're going to do some waxing. That's what brings all the details out. So here we go with the rusty look with the paint. And you can see how quick it is if everything is prepared. And again, I'm just going to flip it with a little bit of the orange on that side. Right. let's put these things away. Where's my lid? There it is. Okay, the push back and clear. You know, we all do that. And let's unplug the glue gun, which is easier said than done from this angle without putting my arm right under the camera. There we go. Okay, so that can just cool down nicely. I can pop all of these things there. And now I'm going to get all this messiness off the camera because I'm bound to put my hand in it. Okay, so right. Are we doing? It is dry already. It really is crazy, this weather. Okay, so I've got two waxes here that I'm going to use. I'm going to use the gold on the highlight side and the copper on the other side. I just need to find my brushes that I normally use for that. And they are AWOL. Here's one. Okay, I'll use this one. It's the Old Perfect Pearls brush that I have abused badly. I will be had up for brush abuse, I know. So I'm going to work from light to dark just because that always works a whole lot better when you're working with anything, whether it's paint or waxes. And I'm going to pick up the details. And this is, for me, always the most fun. I mean, I like making plastic look like metal in it or rusted, but just bringing out all these details with the wax just is such fun. I'm going to put a little bit of gold on that side, and as I said, we've got a little bit at the top here. Now I'm going to go into the copper, and I'm going to turn it so that it's easier for me. I'm going to put the copper on the side just lightly, again, so that it picks up the details. And his face. There we go. Okay, so there we have a nice rusty canvas. And I can see two spots. That's just some glue that is, see what I mean by the white popping out? It is really, really obvious, but that is glue and it will dry clear. And here where my spray paint didn't get in, I'm just going to grab a little bit of that paint that's left on my paper here, and I'm just going to touch that up. There we go. And get in there and there. And we're done. So that's really tonight what I've done is used up a whole lot of my leftover resin pieces that I have done from overruns. I've stuck to a very bland color palette, but it's working rather nicely. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my finger in, because the brush gives very soft wax look, but I want to pick up even more of the details on his face and his moustache. Maybe not so much his chin, but I can come back. And his bow ties. I need to get my finger in there for the bow tie. A little bit more on the hat. Definitely more highlights here, more on there. Definitely more on this side. So you can apply more wax with your finger than you can with a brush. So I definitely want it to definitely look like it's more highlighted from that side. And then where I accidentally got wax that I don't want, I'm just going to paint over it, and I'm just going to soften it with my brush a little bit. There we go. I didn't want it on his chin. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And I can see where I have some, where that glue oozed. You can see it shining in the camera. Yes, Anya, I've missed doing something 3D. So I thought I would get out all my moldy pieces and do it. I have some matte glue. So I have matte glue. So I will try and fix my boo-boos with matte glue. Or I will just sit patiently and paint those bits. But that's pretty much it for tonight. I will post a picture of it in the group when I'm done. Thank you to everybody who's joined me and stayed with me for the whole evening. It's been fun. I really do enjoy doing these lives. I will be back in Crafting Together with All Brands next month. Let's see if I've booked a date yet. No. So I will book a date and let you guys know. So thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.